We've been getting our seats quick.
Okay, we're live on all of the things again. Hi, friend.
Hello.
What week is this?
4. I mean, if you
Yes.
4 times. I was thinking that last night.
That's
Week 4.
crazy. Okay,
Yeah.
I like it.
We've had a lot of content in 4 weeks.
I swear, I think it's a conversation every time with you and I.
Yeah.
Leave here and we're like, maybe we won't have enough
Yeah.
content.
Usually within like 4 hours afterwards, we've sent the next
Oh,
drone.
there's this. Oh, there's that. Hey. Okay, well, speaking of going into everything,
I feel like we're
I definitely think, I know our table's a little wobbly today.
maybe a little wobbly.
We move. You don't see the big American flag in front of us, but we do have,
one.
yeah, we have a smaller version. We definitely need to discuss local
Yeah.
first because I don't care personally that my kids are not in public school. I know yours are,
We had one.
but I still feel just as passionate about this. This is still talking about our county,
Yeah.
and local. And so first off, we've talked about this before, like Darlene Smith just got on the school board. She replaced Joe Gibson, who had been there 25,
28, I think.
yeah, since I was in school, which is huge. We put Bradley Harville in there, who's another conservative. And then already we have Johnny Denton
Jerry.
and Jared Weems on there. And that is huge.
Yeah.
When you're talking about local and having that many good, solid, conservative, newer that are going,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
And so with that being said, in the September school board meeting, which is public, they are going to be voting in a new chairman and vice chairman of the school board.
Yes. And so for like 28 years, it's always been
Either Carolyn Clausen or Joe Gibson. And typically it goes back and forth.
Yeah.
And so we do know that this upcoming meeting, Johnny Denton has put himself in the running to be chairman, and then Jared Weems to be vice chair. And again,
this is so good. Yes.
Because
you got to shake it up and you have to have someone willing to voice
things. Not just enough to put these people on the school board, but the chair
got to give them a voice.
Yeah, they shape the meeting. They, hold everybody accountable.
Well, and I also feel like they are in the thick of it. They are younger generation usually. They see the concerns. They see what people are saying. Where some of the older people that have been in there a long time, they're not even on social media. So they're not seeing what really needs to be addressed or
like what maybe the major issues are for us as parents.
Right. I feel like they miss that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so please do everybody a favor. Reach out to your school board person because you do have influence over this. Like I know the board vote. It's just the board members that vote.
But they're supposed to vote by their constituents.
Yes. Whatever districts they represent,
they should be doing what those constituents want. It's not what they personally want to do. It's supposed to be what their people want.
So, for example, if Jared is your person, reach out to him and say, hey, we want to make sure you vote for Johnny Denton.
Yeah.
And we want to make sure you're obviously voting for yourself.
Vote for yourself.
There for vice chair. Same thing. My school board member is Bradley Harville.
Yeah.
And so to reach out to him and say, hey, we
support you for this. Yeah.
Yeah. You're putting new people in here. They're just new spirit and like full of energy and ready to go on these issues.
For sure. So if you're local,
yeah,
you can go on and see who your representative is. I just told her, I was like, I'm not even really sure who mine is.
Yeah.
So I'll look it up. School board. Yeah. And send an email. Just shoot an email or give them a phone call.
Easy.
Yeah. Super easy. And just say, hey, we know this is coming up in September.
Yeah.
And if you follow Jared Weems, he always does a recap after every meeting because so many people don't go to the board meetings.
And they're not recorded.
They're not recorded and nobody goes. And so he does a recap every night after it. And just runs through everything that was said and done.
And speaking of, they're not recorded, which
they've been fighting for.
Yeah, they've been fighting for. This is something that the board can vote on.
Yeah.
They can vote on. And so, again,
you can bet if Jared gets in there, these are going to be recorded.
And Johnny Denton.
Yes. And it's not a big enough space for really, you need to be doing this at a gym if they want, really want parents to show up. And it's in an evening where most parents are getting home from work, doing dinner, or at ball practices.
Who has time? And I mean, yeah,
I get it.
something to go. That's
Right.
important that you.
I get it,
go,
but
it
then
would be
give
a
us the
lot
option.
easier
Yeah.
for other parents to just hit that recording on YouTube or whatever that looks like,
Yeah.
and then can watch it through while I'm cooking dinner or
Right.
whatever it is.
Yeah.
Very simple. So again, that's why you want to put the right people in those chairman and vice chairman seats.
Yeah.
To like help some of these issues get resolved. So that would be huge.
For the best interest of our kids, ultimately.
Yeah.
Not the ego of these people that have been on there forever.
Speaking of ego, locals, we need to talk about the baseball thing.
We do. And this was from the meeting.
Yes, this was talked about at last night.
So most probably have missed this, although if your children go to East, you probably know.
Yeah, especially if you're involved in baseball.
Yeah.
And again, like I have such a habit, even though my kids go to Cornerstone, I'm like, we, because I went to East and I still.
My kid went to West, so I don't, but this is about the kids. This is not about rivalries.
So overall, the issue is Parks and Rec owns the Sherwood baseball field and a few others that the East End schools and East in particular use for baseball.
Yeah, so they don't have their own fields at the school. West has their own fields built independently.
Yeah.
East does not have any. So
Correct.
they have to use city fields for their ball team.
Yes. And for 6 years, it has been totally fine. There have been no issues.
Even East Booster maintain the field.
Their
boosters, they pay to maintain the fields and be able to use the field.
Correct. And not only do they pay to maintain the fields, the parents and like the Cardins and the boosters are the one that actually maintain the fields. Like they don't pay Parks and Rec.
No, they are maintaining the field.
Themselves do this.
And Parks and Rec still get to use those fields for other things.
Yes.
But East got probably priority because, well, it's a city, school.
Yes. So now there's a halt
because Parks and Rec have decided that they don't want them using their fields.
Yeah. Like all of a sudden,
like
it's weird.
Yeah.
You've let them use it for 6 years.
So what they did is they essentially turned in all their dates that they needed it for tryouts, for games, for practices, and they were denied.
Yes. So again, who suffers? Because they decided we're gonna like puff our chest and for what?
Well, we can't come with a reason. You're on here and you're local and you know the reason. We'd love to know what's our reasoning.
Comment that one below.
So in the process, they decided to throw it on. It's a school board problem.
Right. Like they're wanting to involve the school board.
So now the school board's like, great. Now what are we supposed to do about this? Because ultimately,
but then again, this is so entangled. The school board agreed and allows Parks and Rec to use the gyms at the school for like their basketball.
For rec basketball.
How does that make any sense that our school board said yes to Parks and Rec?
Yeah.
We, of course, they want these kids in the gym. They want them to have the devices.
And ultimately, we're all paying taxes for all of these entities. Like we're paying taxes for schools. We're paying taxes for the city ball fields. We're paying taxes. Our taxes pay the salaries of Parks and Rec workers.
So how is it even okay? How are you okay as Parks and Rec to say, oh, thanks for letting us use the facilities for basketball, but then you can't use ours for baseball.
Right. So they brought up, they said they keep going on, it's a legal thing. We're like, well, why can't they just give that ball field to East?
That's what I think. Yeah, why can't they gift it
or even sell it for a cheap amount or something?
Yeah.
And then there's not this problem. And they're like, well, that you can't sell it. It would have to be a trade. East would have to trade Parks and Rec for something. This feels like money laundering.
This is so weird.
Yeah. So
again, and I'm going back to the fact that it has been okay for 6 years.
Yeah, I will say that we have new management. That's not the director at Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
And there's been some other issues with Parks and Rec. We had flag football became a big issue. Once Parks and Rec took it over last year, like there's been other things. So I don't know if this is just a power play or if it's I don't know. But ultimately, who's losing? East, because they now have no way to practice, no way to try out, no way to have a baseball team, and that affects our town. Like, we have rivalries, we have East-West games. Like, it's a big deal.
Yes.
And those kids just don't get to
big
play.
deal.
They've worked all this time. I mean,
So I would love
Yeah.
to know a clear-cut reason.
Yeah.
Parks and Rec. Anybody
Parks and
wants
Rec.
to feel free on
Reach out.
that. I think that that's really strange.
Yeah.
All of a sudden. And again, I'm so happy for West that they have those facilities, which is fantastic, and then they don't deal with this. But they're just trucking right along
Yeah.
with practice and tryouts and all the things, and then East is over here with their hands tied, essentially.
Yeah.
So that's local.
That's local. That's what's happened in the local. So this is another situation where you need to pay attention.
Mm-hmm. Also, this is why I have my vote shirt on today. Local.
I've got
You got your coffee shirt on. This is why local elections matter. I was sitting at the dance studio. That's where I was last night. And somebody said to me, well, Tennessee's always going to be red.
I've had this conversation this week too.
I wish so bad that was true, you guys. I wish so bad that our little, I always say this, Hamlin County bubble would stay red for forever with very minimal effort.
Yeah.
But that's just not the case.
It's not.
If you drive downtown Main Street, what's the sign say?
There is a big sign that I don't have it. It said, vote for democracy, not a dictatorship. It's a big, right on downtown, right Main Street.
The Democratic Party put that up, mind
but
you.
Still, it's a big sign. It's a big sign.
And so what were the numbers this last local? What were you saying?
So he got the numbers, and 340 people under the age of 40 voted in this last primary. There are 13,000 registered under the age of 40 voters. So from 18 to 40, there's 13,000 registered to vote, and 340 voted. 44 of them were under the age of 21.
Y'all, that is so painful.
And I get it's not a presidential election, but you have to get in the habit of doing that.
And I will say this till I'm blue in the face. Local elections are where you can affect the most change.
Just look at this. Look at what we're doing at the school board.
The school board, huge. I mean,
that's the difference between what gets your kids in school. Like, this is what's making those decisions.
Yes. So we have got to get people out to vote. We've got to get people registered to vote. If
you're not registered to vote, reach out. We will send you the link.
Yeah. It's very simple.
So easy.
30 seconds.
You can do it online, and you just do it.
Yeah. And talking about registered voters, or wait. I should say, they're registered voters, but they're illegal immigrants.
3,000 in Alabama. They found 3,000. They started going through. I saw that they put together this task force.
Yep. The Secretary of State headed it.
But it's just like people like us that are willing to go in and go through and look through the rolls. And they started doing that, and they came up with 3,000 illegal immigrants registered to vote in Alabama. This is a state you would assume
would be red. Again, just like us.
Yeah.
And that's the point.
Yeah.
Like 3,000.
So if those 3,000 went to vote and we only have 340, we screwed. Like, we're done.
It's going to turn blue
in 5 seconds. In 5 seconds, yeah.
Yes. That's what people don't understand. And on top of that, the Democratic Party, the people that are registering these people, are giving them
promises. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, like, hey, here's a free hamburger if you go
a donut for a show.
Like, it's the freaking wild.
I've seen video footage at the border where they get handed in their language, written out in their language. We'll let you cross, but you have to agree to register to vote here and vote for this, this is what we're voting for.
Yeah. So if you think it's not happening, it is.
Yeah.
For a fact, evidence-based. This is not just like he said.
And American citizens are not voting.
Yes. And again, in Nevada, even.
Oh, yeah.
What was
90,000.
They took off 90,000 voters off the registration roll. Whether they were dead, had moved, illegal. I mean,
90,000?
Huge. 90,000. No joke. 90,000.
Well, and we talked about in the state of Tennessee in August, only 4% of registered voters voted.
So
4%.
And that's what the left is doing right now. That's why you see
what they're good at.
Financial statement.
That's what they're good at.
Putting all of the money, and they're targeting red state.
Yeah.
Because they've seen the numbers. They know the data.
They know Republicans are
percent or less.
And it's probably Republicans are the hardworking. They're out killing themselves working.
Yeah.
And then they run out of time to vote.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
that they don't care.
Yes.
It's that they're just like, oh, someone else going to do it. I'm not going to make it there in time. Where, you know, the other side, it's just a different
breed on the other side.
the new Democrat is a different breed.
Yeah. Well, because if you want to go straight into Kamala and Waltz,
We can.
I mean,
Yeah.
right? Like talking about voter strategies.
Yeah.
I
mean, you know, when we do this, we research what we're talking about. So
Right.
we don't just like take sound bites that we find from
Correct.
people. We'll hear a sound bite and then we'll go find it to hear the whole thing, make sure it's not out of context, that kind of thing. We went to the Harris Waltz website,
Like you literally can Google
just
it.
within the hour.
Yes. And I want to explain to you what is not on their website. And that's policy.
There's nothing
Not one sentence
of what they're going to do to
No,
change.
it's fear
Because if
about
it's in
Harris,
writing,
then they're stuck to
then they're
it.
stuck to it.
Number one. And if they put it in writing, you can do a side-by-side comparison
Because
of the left to the right.
she's in office now.
Right.
So we could be making these changes now.
Well, it's so bananas when she stands up in front of a crowd and says, on day one, I'm going to blank. What do you mean on day one? You've been in, what day are we? 3 years time. And there's been not diddly squat. That makes no sense.
You can make these changes now.
Yes. But again, they don't want you to know their policy. That's why it's not on the website. If you look at any rally that they've had as of late, it's
a concert.
It is a concert
that she then
to me. It's not even a rally initially.
It's a concert that she speaks at.
Like,
so the numbers are coming
up.
Right.
Yes. She didn't set this up. She goes to Megan Thee Stallion concert, or I can't remember the last one.
I know the name is just went right out of my head.
Yes. But then they allow her an allotted amount of time.
So you're just held hostage there, essentially. If that's not who you want, you're just going to listen because you're there for that artist.
Yes. And so then she goes to speak, and then they're showing, video footage of
packed house. Because,
yes. Speaking of that, trying to pack the house, if we have talked to influencers, bloggers,
oh my word,
the amount of press briefs, press packets that they are getting from the Harris Waltz campaign.
So if you aren't watching on its social TikTok and that, they're sending out packets to influencers,
yes,
offering them, how much is it per post? $1,500
video,
poster video to do anti-Trump.
Yes. They give you exactly what to say. They give you the images.
Yeah, the graphics, everything.
Things.
You just have to post them on your pages.
And not to be funny, as a 16, 17, 18 plus, you're telling me, they're not turning down $1,500.
Oh, I actually turned down $1,500.
And how much my grocery bill is, I don't really want to turn down $1,500.
Well, and if they're big, some of those big ones, man, it was a whole lot more money.
Yes. And
a whole lot more
money. Actually, on top of that, paying people to go to
the DNC and then stream and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not against you paying people to do that. That doesn't necessarily bother me.
Yeah.
But they're infiltrating an entire generation only for that. Like they're not like I could see when they go to people that are already running on a conservative platform and being like, hey, will you do this? But these
these
are gamers and stuff like that. These people don't have any
care or they're not invested at all. And so again, it's wild because I don't know what day we're on now that Kamala's been designated the Democrat nominee.
Well, it's been less than a month because she wasn't the very first one we did.
So 22 days,
something like that.
In that range. She's yet to sit down for an interview.
Not even with her own people, like her own, CNBC or something.
No. And that's the problem. That's why you won't see her sit down, is because she cannot share policy at all because they don't have anything set in stone.
No, and they are like wolves in sheep clothing because all they're doing is piggybacking off of what Trump has already said his policies are going to be.
Well, and talk about tax for temps.
Yeah, I mean that's a big one. Like that's been his thing for a long time. And you can be like, well, no, that just came up. No, I was in Salt Lake City in June and I wrote on my receipt.
Yeah.
I wrote vote Trump for no tax on tips.
Yes.
I wrote it right on when I signed my
Yeah.
credit card and left my tip, I wrote it right on there and I took a picture. That was back then. I mean, we've been doing this for months.
Yes. And she just now came out last week.
And everyone's up in arms. They're like, it's going to cost the government this much money if he does this. I'm like, yeah, but the money's going to be in our pocket.
Right. That's the
That's
point.
the point. The government doesn't need money. They need our money.
Yes. Especially right.
Especially ones that get tips.
Oh my gosh. And
Like,
then,
what? I mean, even as far as the camo hat, man, like they're trying way hard.
you know, nobody's walking around with a Harris
I don't know.
camo hat. No. Surely not.
I can't imagine. They're a little bougie for camo. I just can't.
I have camo on.
I can't imagine there's a lot of camo wearers that are
On that side. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I mean, if you're wearing camo, usually you own at least one gun.
Yes. Yes. I do agree with that. Okay. What? Talk about also the pronouns on her list when you tell what Link said about that.
So Link, if you don't follow I am Link, I.am.link, on any socials, he went on to register to volunteer for a Harris Waltz event.
Yes.
And there were 8 different pronouns you could choose from. There were a couple on there. I'm like, is that even, what is that? Yeah, HU/HU. I'm like, she's like, and he came back, he's like, are we talking like Cindy Lou Who or Hugh Grant or what is happening?
And there was like a Zizu or I don't know. I can't.
Yeah, so we want to vote, what is it?
Your gender.
Well, no, but what are they saying to women? Your assignment.
Oh,
do they know?
No, they don't.
No.
It's weird.
It's weird.
See? I say that's weird.
Yeah.
I don't.
And I am Link is not for her. He was just going on to.
Yeah, he was just explaining.
Yeah. He's talking about all the Zooms and stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Yes. Well, okay. What is up?
So they're doing all these Zoom calls. They've got all these people.
Harris Waltz campaign.
Yeah. So it was white men for Kamala and white women for Kamala and all this. And I saw one that was Christians for Kamala, and I'm like, that's not a thing. That's an oxymoron.
Because truly,
a true Christian cannot vote on her policy.
No. Period. Well, I still have yet to see a policy, but whatever she says.
Well, the policies up until this point. The policies that she's stood with up until this point.
And if you look at Waltz, like the policies that he's put
even scarier
in Minnesota.
Yeah.
As a Christian,
you can't vote for
truly. You can't.
No.
You stand on the principles of the Bible and what is said in that book. Yeah. There is no way you can vote for them. And I love what Tucker said.
I do too. I was talking about this earlier. In the Bible, when it talks about their eyes will be blinded, I should have pulled the verse, but I didn't. Yeah, I always thought that meant people will be oblivious. Like they'll just be oblivious to what's happening in the world. And now, as I'm watching it, I'm like, no, they literally do not see evil. And Tucker, I don't remember who he was with the interview. Who was he talking to?
He was talking with Joe Rogan on the one.
It wasn't Joe Rogan.
There's another
clip. Yeah, and he was saying, he's like, the only people that are seeing this evil are the Christians.
Yeah.
Because they know what the word says. They know what Revelation says. They know what the end times are going to look like.
Yeah.
So therefore, none of this surprises them, and they just see the evil. And I was like, that's so true.
That's wild. Because
and I hadn't looked at it like that because I don't separate Christianity from my politics at all. But I was looking at it as a more political situation, like common sense. I was looking at it more like a common sense, like
how are you not getting? This is not
obvious. Yeah. How are you not seeing this?
Yes. And it's true because if we're sitting here as Christians and we're reading the Bible and listening and reading when it talks about the miracles that Jesus performs. And just the things that he went through and overcame, then your mind is already open to like those supernatural things that Jesus did or whatever has been written in the Bible.
Yeah.
So I think you are just more open.
I think also when we are pouring in the word and we are solid as we can be, our discernment is just huge.
Right?
Yeah. And I feel like that's what's America's missing. is our discernment is gone.
Oh,
It's just gone. We just accept things now like, well, it's not that big of a sin. What you're watching something on TV and there's a gay couple, like, well, it's not that big, and it just, we've notched it down.
Whatever, it's not that big of a
Cartoons, something will happen and it'll be like, well, it just went over their head.
Yeah.
No, that's just totally squashing their discernment.
Yes.
Little by little by little.
Agreed.
So,
Agreed.
yeah.
I totally agree with that. And just, again, when you start going through her policies, again, that aren't listed on her website.
Not listed.
Yes, from a Christian perspective, and doubling back from a make sense perspective.
All right.
And, I can't tell you how many comments or texts or whatever I've seen or gotten just about the economy and groceries and gas.
Yeah.
Right now. Like, one of my girlfriends put a video of like her Walmart buggy and said this was $400, and this was yesterday.
Yeah.
And it was only for the extras. And she has 3 kids.
Yeah.
And when you're dealing in those terms, like sustainability for a family,
It's,
how can you continue to vote?
do you think that, I know they're obviously their long-term goal is socialism. We know this.
For sure.
They've said it. They just blatantly say it.
Yeah.
Now, it used to be like we could see it, but no one it was a hidden thing, but now they just are flat out saying it. Some would call it neighborly,
Yeah.
Do you think their point in raising these prices is that so slowly the American people lose everything they have? So we'll end up defaulting on our mortgage or defaulting on our cars, and slowly.
Wow, I didn't think of that.
Like the more you do that up, I mean, people are going to have to cut. They're not going to cut food.
Or they're going to have to cut, but then also start to turn to the government.
Yeah.
I need help.
I need help. Yeah.
And then
so I'm like, I thought of this last night, and it was just like a little like
epiphany on.
Yeah, and I thought the goal in socialism is that everybody is equal. And
Kamala straight said it.
She said it yesterday. And that soundbite yesterday. Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah, and so I'm just like, is that the goal? The goal is to just hit us slowly over time. So over 4 years, I mean, we're now paying triple for groceries. So you're going to have to cut somewhere, and people are going to not cut food.
No, I have to feed my family.
Yeah, they're going to start cutting other things. Usually they're going to cut their healthcare stuff, and they're going to start there. And then the last things will be housing and food.
Yeah.
And then you have to rely on the government.
Wild to think about it like that. I mean, and this whole like equity, equality, I have such a hard time that, because
I feel like anyone that's ever worked on a project within school, a group project.
Oh my gosh.
Should just like group team. And I'm thinking, if you've ever worked on a group project, then you know that this doesn't work.
Right. I grew up like a pick yourself up by your bootstraps.
Workaholic.
Yeah. So, just for example, I mean, we all have hardships and things go on. Like, my mom's dad passed away when she was 13. He was a truck driver. She had no dad. There was 4 kids. They lived on this big farm where they all had to go out and then work the farm.
Yeah.
Or they weren't going to eat.
Yeah.
So if she can do that as this 13-year-old girl and work hard and learn the value and have to figure it out and help her family and majorly struggle, then in other, issues that you have and hardships, like, I feel like you should have to figure it out.
I feel like that mentality, though, is in the millennials and Gen X and boomers, because we did see harder times. We are much harder workers, latchkey kids, ones that both parents probably were working like that.
Yeah.
Were these other generations. But I mean, not saying that there's not other generations, that there aren't millennials and that they're like that, but it's definitely a
different way.
And I do think that a lot of it, I mean, if you just look at the college kids wanting their college debt paid for, like, why is that fair? There's nothing fair about that. I don't.
Or expecting to come out of college making like $100,000.
Yeah.
Like worked at the hospital wiping butts for 8 hours.
They come out at 25 thinking they're going to have everything their parents worked their entire life for.
Yeah. And it's not that way. And you're not.
Well, definitely not now.
Oh my gosh, definitely not.
No, I mean, I don't know no one's going to be able to buy a house.
And if on some magical whatever you can buy a home to be able to afford the mortgage.
Yeah.
It's
It's just not
not
gonna.
possible right now.
All right. Did you watch the Elon Musk or listen, I should say, not watch.
Okay, can we just take a moment? I loved that.
Same. It was like a radio show. I
That was
loved
so
it.
good how Elon facilitated that on X.
Yeah.
I mean, what was it called? The Space?
Yeah.
Like listening on.
I had never listened to anything on that like that. I had to make an account
Okay.
to join. I had one way back when it was Twitter and that, but it was old and I never was on there.
Okay.
So when I went on, I was like, I think I'll just make a whole new account then.
Yeah.
I couldn't get on.
Well, I think it's to note that you have Trump, who I will personally say is not an uber conservative.
No.
He is a Republican, but not an uber conservative.
Right.
Then you have Elon, who is now, he used to consider himself a liberal.
But he said he would be a moderate.
A moderate,
The old
yes.
Democrat,
Yeah,
not this
correct.
new Democrat.
Now he would say he's a moderate.
Yeah.
Sat there and discussed all the policies. I mean, you're talking world economies, nuclear fallout,
All of it.
for hours. And they
didn't have notes.
no,
They didn't need to rely on like people giving them the
Teleprompter.
information.
any of the things, and had an amicable discussion.
Yeah, even when they disagreed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Agree to disagree,
Yeah.
or like table it for later. Number
Yeah.
one, I'm floored
Yeah.
because
I can't think of any other world leader in America that could do that
no, because
and continue talking.
because no,
It
even
it was like Tucker. Like Tucker can do that and just be like,
not a politician.
yes,
is what
and that's what
I
it comes down to.
Yes,
They're not politicians.
politician cannot
No,
do that
because
They
they
need a whole team of staff behind
Yeah.
them. Give them their talk.
these are two
Point.
businessmen
Correct.
that are brilliant.
Yes. And I'm sorry. Again, I'll say it again. I am not voting for my friend.
Not
Voting for a Valentine.
not voting for a savior.
No. None of that.
Voting on policy.
Yes. And America needs a business.
It's a business.
We need some.
And we are the strongest business in the world. Well, we were the strongest building. I don't know that we are there now.
Yeah.
You have to have a mean person. I'm not saying they have to be mean, but like you have to have somebody that's firm
And somebody that's going to garner the respect
Yeah.
of other world leaders.
and the military
Yeah.
and that's a lot.
Yes. I am just mind blown that if you are to picture, you've got Trump and Vance would sit in a room with Putin, Kim Jong-un, Zelensky.
Yeah.
And number one, let's not forget that's already been done with Trump.
Yep.
He's already been in office.
And he was in control.
Rooms, and he was.
Even things where, who's the
Yes.
one leader that you don't touch? And he made sure to walk by and tap him on the shoulder. It's just like I'm in charge.
Here.
I'm in charge.
You might be here, but I'm just like a step
Up. Just those little things
Yeah.
keep them in check. Like, he's
Wait,
in charge.
America is number one.
I was watching a clip the other day, and it was like special forces or
Mhm.
someone. It was people like that, and they said in these 3.5 years, 7 embassies have closed.
Mhm.
7 embassies.
Aaron Donald.
Yes.
Who was on?
And I was like, well, what does that really mean for us? So I listened to the whole thing because I was really curious. And, he's saying an embassy, because I didn't really ever think about why an embassy is there.
Like why we need it.
Yeah. And he's like, and I knew we had Americans over there, but I didn't understand it. And he's like, an embassy is there to keep the country in check.
Correct.
This embassy is
Like we
have eyes. We are in control.
Yeah.
This is our
Yeah.
space,
Mhm.
but we're watching.
Yes.
And
Yes.
7 have closed. They've overtaken and tossed us out of 7 in the last 3.5 years.
And then we're supposed to be set up and vote for
That's a
another
joke.
4 years.
We're a joke.
Yes. And so then if you go and look and put those same world leaders in a room
With Kamala?
no, you cannot. I'm telling you, if she
You would be better off putting her in there with Beyonce. Putting Beyonce in there. Like
It's true.
Taylor Swift.
Yeah. You probably could command the respect of a room. Well, she does
Yeah.
millions during concerts.
It's a joke.
There's no way. Putin will literally laugh at her. I'm sorry, but the Middle East already sees women differently.
Yeah.
And so to put her, who they know has done nothing
Yeah.
throughout this current administration, to put her in a room
Yeah.
with those those leaders.
I was
would be
watching
so
that clip where she talked about, it was an interview she did about when they pulled out of Afghanistan. And she was the last one in the room. She was the last one.
Yes. Like she was, and she meant that, right? As in like, I'm supporting Biden and his decision.
Yes. And
Like,
I was the last one in the room
No.
watching as everything left. And I was like, okay, well, were you at the parade too? Were you the mascot? That's what I wanted to know.
Yeah. It's so true. When you're dealing with foreign policy like that and leaders, the nice guy does not win.
No.
In those rooms.
I can tell you, if
Not how it works.
no, and if Trump had done that pullout of Afghanistan, which he never would have, but if he had, I can tell you right now, the Taliban would not have been having a parade this week.
No, we're going to talk about that in a second. Yeah, that's so bad. Wrapping up Elon and Trump, I thought it was huge. Number one, they're over 1 billion views, listens, whatever you want to call it. That is wild.
I couldn't even get on. I had to wait till the replay.
Yeah. I got on and then it bumped me.
Because they got hacked and I couldn't get on and I was getting frustrated. I was like, I'll just do the replay. It's okay.
The fact that they got over 1 billion views and still going
unreal
is wild.
And I really, what was the age?
Yes, so that was huge. So 77% of the listeners were aged 34 and younger, which is amazing. Yeah, because that's
the demographic we need to vote.
Yeah, that's who needs to hear what
if they're over 34, they're pretty set in their ways unless they all of a sudden have an epiphany of common sense. But that under 34, they've ignored politics for 34 years, or however long. So
that was huge. That was the percentage.
And I think that age demographic is still enamored by the electric vehicle and the Teslas and all that stuff. So they're like, let's listen to this because Elon will probably squash him type thing.
And it was so good.
So good.
It was a really, really good listen.
Yeah, really good.
What was the other thing? Was there something else?
UK fan.
Oh my gosh.
UK Germany.
During the space.
Right before it started,
Yeah. They started being, what do you call it? Like hacked or just, the servers on X were getting infiltrated. And it was from, what did they say? It was coming from the EU.
Yeah.
Is where they were being hacked from. And then also after the space, the talk, whatever you want to call it, was over, the EU came out and said that they are going to send basically like a cease and desist or even stronger than that to Elon because they are saying he's putting out misinformation.
Yeah, and they're going to arrest their country if you were listening to that or whatever, because they made it where you couldn't see it, which we've been talking about.
They banned it.
They banned it.
Yes. But then even further now, in the UK and Germany, they literally can arrest you for posting on X and Facebook.
Yeah.
So if that's like what you have to say, we would already be in jail.
Oh, we'd be in jail.
We would been in jail day one.
Yeah, we're done.
Yeah. But they legitimately can arrest you.
Yeah.
For listening to Donald Trump and Elon Musk.
Just for listening. And you thinking for yourself. That's coming. I think we say we're like, oh, that's England or UK or wherever.
No. They took away their guns. And
the moment they take your guns,
you're done. You're done. Yeah, that's the only thing that saved Venezuela a few weeks ago was the fact that they still had their guns and they could protect themselves. But in Europe, they've taken your guns. Now there is zero free speech, which is mind-blowing to me because, again, this is all control. This is communism, socialism, all band together. I have a hard time with this because even if I don't like what you say or somebody else says,
I still go listen.
Isn't that okay?
Yeah.
Like, why? If I decided to say this guy is pink, I should have a basic right to say that. But then it's up to you.
I don't have to contribute to your delusion.
Correct.
I can make my own opinion.
And be like, Caroline's crazy.
Yeah.
This guy's not pink. But if she wants to go continue on, that this guy is
pink. To you.
power to you. Like,
Yeah.
that is your choice.
Well, and you see this in lots of countries, China, Russia.
Yeah.
These are all countries that, and we've been seeing it forever. I mean, I think of how many years we watched the Olympics. My whole life
Yes.
watching the Olympics. Whenever Russia stories came on, it was so heartbreaking what those people went through.
Yeah.
And we're almost there.
That's
And this
very
is the land of the free. This is it. There is no other country like ours.
No. And so, and that's the issue too, is, you know, they want to sit here, the left,
Mhm.
Harris and Waltz want to sit here and say, just like that sign said in town,
Yeah.
don't vote for a dictatorship. But then this is what they are pushing for.
Yeah.
Is to be more like the EU, is to
Yeah.
have the censorship. Oh, we
Even
don't
Kennedy yesterday called them out on
He-
that. He's like, this is not a this is not what any
when
old time Democrat
name
wants.
off the ballot,
Mm-hmm. Putting in
because
people
you-
that weren't voted for.
right, and you take away that right, I don't care. I totally agree. It doesn't matter if you're Democrat, Republican,
Yeah.
Independent, or whatever. You have the right to vote for who you want to.
Yeah.
And when they literally take a name off a ballot,
Yeah.
because they're scared that it's going to pull from their vote,
Uh-huh.
you no longer live in a democracy.
Right.
When you are trying to imprison the other party's nominee,
Yeah.
you no longer live in a democracy.
And they're
Let's
also
not be twisted about it.
exactly, and they're consuming all their time to rig an election instead of run our country.
Correct. If they spend as much time and energy
Yeah.
actually trying to run our country and make it better, even if they try to put in their policies,
Yeah.
they would have already voted in their policy.
Yeah, they would have. But right now we have no one running the country.
Correct.
She's out campaigning around the country.
Uh-huh.
Who's running the country? I mean, we know Obama's running the country.
Correct.
But what on earth? Like, there's
Yeah.
still 6 months left here.
Yes.
That lots can be done in 6 months.
Again, you talk about being more like the EU. You talk about taking away freedom of speech. Look what happened to Tulsi Gabbard.
Yeah.
She got on social media, she got on platforms and straight up said, Biden is not running our country.
Yeah.
Kamala is not running our country. It is, you know,
They listed all those. Yeah.
off anybody that is, you know, has the military companies and contracts.
That's who's running the
The
country.
people that are getting more money in their pockets if we go to war, like, those are the people that are running our country. You know what they did to her? They put her on the domestic terrorist watch list.
Yep. Domestic terrorists. For just saying the truth.
Yes.
This is the truth. I mean, if you read 1984, if you read the other one,
That's
the other
well.
yeah, it's like written right out for you. If you watch The Simpsons,
That's such a good point.
if you grew up watching The Simpsons,
Simpsons always know that.
because it's an agenda, they already had this all planned out,
It is wild when you watch The Simpsons and you watch
and it's
the
like
clips.
every single thing.
Yeah.
And that was 30 years ago.
Mhm. Like, and they're calling it out, and it's now coming to fruition.
And it's like exactly.
That's bananas.
Yeah. So you don't even have to get that, you know, can just watch The Simpsons.
And back to Taliban, Afghanistan. Isn't it the third
It
anniversary?
was the third anniversary of the pullout of Afghanistan.
And then the 13 service members
And the
that lost their lives.
Yeah.
Was that yesterday? It was sometime this week.
Yeah, but it wasn't yesterday. It was this week.
Yeah.
So the Taliban held a parade
Correct.
on our air base, which is the
Very-
largest base in that over there that they took over.
Yes.
And it paraded all of our equipment, all of our guns, our helicopters, our
Uh-huh.
tanks, over
Right.
10,000 people,
Yes.
men. And that
Men.
is interesting that he said 10,000 men
Of course.
attended the parade,
Of course, because the women.
including high-ranking officials
Mhm.
to go and celebrate this, which
The
is
amount
just
of happy-
mocking every soldier's family that died over there in those years.
Not only the 13 service members that died, not only
The ones that still left over there.
yeah, the ones that we left, not only the ones that were killed during Operation Freedom
Yeah.
and Desert Storm,
Desert
even,
Storm. Yeah.
but that is a smack in the face to every service member that went over there and served and had a tour. This was the big middle finger from the
Yeah.
Taliban.
I feel like Trump in
Period.
office would have taken out that parade.
Well, that wouldn't have been happening.
That would never have happened.
Yes. But when you sit there and watch that footage
And there's so much footage.
of the Apache helicopters, just mass amounts of the helicopter,
It made me want to vomit.
Oh my gosh, it just made me so.
And we're watching that with both of our brothers stuck over there trying to get home.
Yes.
And we're watching a parade of our equipment mocking us while they're, in Iraq and we're Gaza trying to get home.
It is so insane.
It's just such a slap in the face for our military.
Go ahead and ask those 13 service members' families. Ask them if they got a phone call from Biden or Harris this week.
Yeah.
Ask if you go ahead and look and see if there was any mention from either of them this week about the loss of lives that happened 3 years ago. You won't find it.
No, I bet it didn't. I wouldn't be surprised though if Trump's didn't call them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And how much money? How much money are we? Did they lose?
I cannot. So, Sean Ryan exposed this.
Sean Ryan
months ago. He was a CI operator.
Yeah.
Wasn't he a SEAL? A Navy SEAL. He has a ton of contacts still in the Middle East. He
has a podcast and he's so good.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
To get that detailed information.
Insight. Yeah. Kind of like Don Bongino or whatever. You get good insight when they have been in that world.
And he still gets and listens to operators and people that are over there.
Yeah.
And puts them on his show. And so months ago, he exposed the fact that we, the United States, were giving the Taliban $40 million a week. A week. We give them $40 million a week. So we are literally funding the people that hate us and want to kill us. And actually, more than want to kill us, they are actively trying to kill us.
I mean, they just bombed the Iraq, one of our bases.
Correct. Yes.
So we're paying them to do that, which is a bold statement to make. But also, it's so obvious, like, what are we supposed to think?
Right. And then the government, comes out with this article that says, we lost. What was their number? 250 million,
something like that.
Like, no. It's way more than that. Yeah. You all don't even know. It is, I mean, you're talking about 40 million a week.
Lost. But man, if I mess up on my taxes, you can bet they're calling me.
Because you know that
for, $17 or something.
On your Venmo that's unaccounted for.
Yeah. But you can lose 40 million a week.
Million. Okay. I just want to discuss the gravity of that number. Like, we have homeless. We have veterans. We have people that are addicted to drugs and substances.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fentanyl.
Poison.
That 40 million a week. Do you know how many problems that could have solved? And over again.
We definitely could have had a baseball field for East.
Pretty sure that would happen.
Our education reform, I don't know. So many things.
I don't know. Just some America first thing.
Yeah.
That could get sorted out and fixed.
Yeah. I bet just the veterans alone.
That. And then again, circling it back around, Harris was the deciding vote in the legislation to put out, you probably have it written down. Yeah, the IRS. To add those.
I forgot about that.
IRS agents.
Yeah.
Are we calling them agents?
I feel like they are agents.
That's wild that we're calling them IRS agents. I think they are.
They are.
Okay.
Yeah.
That are coming out, and they made this whole big spiel about they're going after the rich because the rich, don't have to send as much.
They're not going after the rich.
I'm telling you.
No, they're going after small business.
Middle class, small
Probably
business.
goes back to if we put them out of business, they lose their home. Socialist.
I mean, when we're supposed to be sending in what we do on Venmo and PayPal and apps like that.
And that's like selling used shoes to your neighbor.
Yeah. When the waiters and waitresses are supposed to be like putting their tips in to be taxed.
Yeah.
We're in that group that those agents are going after. And Kamala, who wants to sit here and say, vote for me, no tax on tips. But you were just recently the deciding factor
to screw them.
It's wild.
Yeah.
And there's no accountability there at all. Like, she could just say whatever she wants.
Yeah, because it was definitely her legislation. She was the deciding vote. So I don't know how you are the deciding vote in 2022 to do this, but then a year later, you're gonna
Come out and
change that. But you could just go change it now.
she literally could just tell Biden to sign an executive order.
Yeah, we need to fix this. Now that I've read it, it's terrible. We need to get
bad. I'm screwing the American people.
Yeah, so it's too much.
Speaking of too much, did you hear what Lady Gaga said about
My gosh.
y'all?
I don't even know how any normal person could take anything Lady Gaga says. And I'm not dissing her singing voice.
No,
She
no.
has a phenomenal voice.
Yeah, totally agree.
But I mean, she has shown up to award shows wearing meat. Like, she's the epitome of weird.
Yeah. Can we talk about, okay, first what she said, don't quote me, but
Yeah,
in general, the comment was, you cannot vote for Trump because you've got to save your daughters and wives,
mothers, your wives, your
molested or groped or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, that's who he is. Coming from the person who goes to like these spirit cooking
the
events, the tables that have the, I'm not joking, you guys. This is,
what is that lady's
how do you
name?
say that out loud? Madam somebody is her name, but they, no joke, had real cadavers on the tables.
They even make cakes in that, and they are cadavers.
Yeah, and they would sit the food
on
the cadavers.
Yeah,
like above.
It's evil.
Yeah, it totally is. It totally is.
Evil.
But even if you take that part, which we know it is, it's freaking weird.
Yeah,
Weird.
It's a huge Hollywood event.
Yes. Yes.
But she's like number two.
She like spearheads it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that lady, that main lady, and then it's her. I mean, it's.
So how does she stand on a stage?
Why would you want her to be your person standing on stage is where I always land. I don't.
Well, because
you need numbers.
You need numbers, but then also look to who she pulls.
Yeah.
She pulls the weird.
Yes. And people that are,
they're going to get out and vote.
Yeah.
They are going to get out and vote. Mark my words, they will.
Oh, don't worry. As soon as September hits, we will be on the Swiftie train for propaganda and politics.
Roll my eyes any bigger.
I watched a TikTok last night of this lady saying that the Swifties are coming around. And she was going on because when she got that death threat or wherever she was, they all were like, why aren't we protecting? Like all that kind of stuff. And their language shifted. And I was like, she's going to have to rein that in, man. Can't have these Swifties.
Well, as soon as she says, I'm voting for Harris,
we're done.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah. Unless we get out and vote on our own.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. Because what Beyonce's already came out in support, and she has, as much as I don't like Beyonce, she has stayed neutral and stayed out of politics, but it's coming down the celeb pipeline. Like it is.
They're hitting, it's interesting though. I feel like they're hitting, I hate to say it like this, but like a trashier segment.
Demographic.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, with Megan Thee Stallion, I mean, most people are not listening to Megan.
I think because I've seen enough comments and videos from like David Harris Jr. and Terrence Williams and people like that say they are trying to hit that black demographic. I mean, it makes no sense to me. When you have like Hillary Clinton and Kamala saying like the black communities don't know about computers. They don't have the internet. They can't get an ID.
They're spearheading abortions that primarily cater to that demographic. Hey, why would they vote for her? I don't understand.
Yeah, and so it's again like the Swifties coming around and coming out.
Yeah.
Like that's
definitely a different demographic.
The community is starting to say they've promised us these jobs for so long. They've promised us these programs and this funding, and it's not happened. And so what are we doing?
They're going to be, I think that's why they need all the illegals, because I don't think the black I don't think they're supporting them.
Yeah.
I really think they've
totally
lost
agree
a
with you.
lot of that
Support.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
don't even think they like that she's running on I'm a black woman.
No, it's
I don't think they
identity
like that.
politics.
No.
They don't like that.
Mm-mm. Of all the inner city, they have seen
Yes.
the worst of the worst. You know, a lot of us, we are not in that. We can sit on videos and that, but they have lived the worst of the worst. So
Yes.
they, of all people,
No.
see the truth.
Yeah. Like, why, if the majority of big cities are blue, they're Democrat run, but then in those cities you have the highest crime rate.
Yeah.
The numbers for rape. Didn't you tell me in Nashville?
Nashville, it's the highest crime. That's their highest crime right now.
Is rape in downtown Nashville.
Yeah.
And you know Nashville's blue.
Yeah.
Like it's
which I realize there's lots of people, like you got Broadway and all that kind of stuff. It makes sense with all that's going on down there, but also if that's their highest crime.
Yeah. Well, Atlanta just overtook every other major city for murder per capita.
Yeah.
So that's in the South. That's in Georgia. I mean, and again, if you continue, like it's been blue for so long.
It's just going to spread.
Right. Like, why do you want to keep it blue? Like, if it's not working, then fix it. Like, try something else.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
One, it's not going to hurt to do 4 years of red and see if it makes a difference. Even though we've already done this. Even though we've already done this.
And it does work.
Yeah. No.
And again, this is just total a big push by media, the propaganda that they push out, the soundbite.
Yeah, even all the Google things, when you search, you see they're changing all the thing, and those companies have come out like, we didn't say that. That's not what we said. And Google is like, well, they can go in and change that so that that one comes up over the real one.
Well, even Kamala just had an ad drop, and it had the California Sheriff's Association.
And he came out and he's like, yes, I did not do that.
He was like, I am not for Kamala.
Yeah.
Here for the sound bites and gone. She did not help in any form with this.
He was hot about that.
He was so mad. He was so upset his face was on that ad. And then he went further to say, if we identify and support anybody, it's Trump.
Yeah.
So it's a ton of it.
It's just so much lying.
Well, Wikipedia cleared out J.D. Vance's medals. Did you see that?
Wow.
They wiped his medals.
As if those can go away. I mean, he has them.
Again. And you think, if somebody goes to Wikipedia and searches, then he doesn't look as
prestigious.
Right.
But who's going to Wikipedia for this? I can go in and change. I can go in and change Wikipedia.
Change it back. Change it back.
I just have no words.
It's wild.
Yeah.
And I think that's so hard because this generation in society and culture, everybody is on their phones, and they
rely on sound bites.
Yes. And they're just soaking it in. And so if you have naturally leaned left or speak more left, then that's what the content is being pushed to you. That's what you're like, bringing in.
Yeah.
Versus like, if you look at ours, it is more conservative content. However, the difference is, I think when you're Christian and you do have that discernment, no matter what you see,
you can tell.
You can go through and pull apart. Like, what's real and right versus what's fluff and not.
Yeah. I think, was it Charlie Kirk that did that? Maybe it was Tucker. It might have been Tucker, where they just said, Trump loves America. And he just separated the thing. And he's like, the conservative side, Republicans, we just love our country.
Yeah.
This side wants to destroy our country. This side is for no wars. This side, obviously, we're in a zillion wars.
Yeah.
And he just separated the two. And I was just like, this should be it.
Printer going on.
I was like,
that's hilarious. Well, and I wish that, again, she doesn't have a policy or policies on her
need to go
website.
for that.
I just wish that, because realistically, anybody with some sense, some common sense, if you sat them down, whether you pull people from the left, you pull people from the middle or the right, and you said it very simple like that.
Yeah.
take Trump, take Kamala, take Biden, take the names out of it.
Yeah.
Let's sit here. It's
Probably 70-30. I mean, it really probably is.
Yes,
Yeah.
because truly, you, myself, the majority did not want to get involved in politics.
Right.
Did not want to speak up, didn't want to share, but you're to the point
Yeah.
where I just feel like I have to be another voice to just try and keep saying and normalize these things and bring it back down to those simple points of like, you just want to be left alone.
Yeah.
I just want to be able to raise my kids myself, believe what I believe, like keep our hard earned money that we work for,
In my pocket.
like I want to be able to protect myself.
Yeah.
I want to keep my guns. Why is that getting distorted?
Because they've villainized Trump.
Yeah.
And so people aren't voting on policy. They're voting on hate for Trump.
Yeah.
So there must be something better. We'll just vote for whatever's better. And sadly, and then we're also going to lose a zillion votes to Kennedy.
Yeah.
Which is just.
Because listen, as great as his, efforts for no vaccines are, as great as that he is pushing for.
We're a two-party system.
Yeah, we are just
party going to work.
And it's not going to work. And he does want socialized health care. He is more.
He is anti-guns. And even though he says he's not coming, he also is for full-term abortion.
Yeah.
You can't vote for him. Does he have great things? Yes. Is he better than Harris? Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Because he's going to probably be more like old school Democrats.
Right.
He's probably, if he wins, I won't be nearly as devastated.
Correct.
But ultimately, he's just going to screw up the system.
Yeah.
He's just going to screw up the system.
Yeah. Agreed.
So.
Oh my gosh, that was another week's word.
And we didn't even get to the project.
We should probably touch on that real quick.
You think?
Should we just dip the toe in the water?
Maybe a little bit. Just a little.
So for those out there who have asked us to talk about Project 2025, here's the deal. That is, again, a soundbite that the left
jumped on
to scare people
Yeah.
into coming over to their side or voting for Harris instead of Trump.
Yeah. So if you don't know what it is, there are like Washington think tanks that they get together.
Yes.
A bunch of political people that have been in the realm. Some might have worked for Trump and on his administration, whatever. And they get together and they come up with a list of things that they would love to see in the conservative Republican Party when we win.
Yeah.
This is not, the candidates aren't doing this.
Nobody's
endorsing this. Trump had nothing to do with the list.
This is not on his website.
Nope,
he had
nothing.
Just to clarify, he has his own policies on his website, very clearly stated.
Yeah.
He has also came out multiple times.
Like, I don't even know what this is.
I don't know what this is.
Yeah.
But also, I have nothing. I am not tied to this.
But it's called the 2025 Presidential Transition Project. And their goal is that if you put this into place, it'll turn the country 180 degrees. And they've just talked this through. It's published by the Heritage Foundation.
Yes, that's right.
And it promotes conservative and right-wing policies to reshape the United States federal government.
Mm-hmm.
Their goal is that Trump sees something in there that he agrees with and pulls, because they've done all the work of how to make the changes and all that.
Yeah.
They put it together in a book you could buy, and it's got a whole list of all these things.
Yeah.
But the left has put it together like in little
just like little media snippet.
Yeah, like on a graphic, like this is what Donald Trump's going to do if you vote for him. And it's everything like end no fault divorce, complete ban on all abortions, ban all contraceptives. I mean, just teach Christian religious beliefs in the public school, end free school lunch programs. Like,
I can't.
First of all, our world's about to collapse. I don't think he's focused on school lunches. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Like, what do we do?
And again, he's already come out and said, I am not going to put a nationwide ban on abortion.
No.
Again, he was
Go back to the state
office for 4 years and did not put a nationwide ban on abortion.
And the Roe v. Wade changed when Biden was on office. Let's just look at the dates.
Yeah. Correct.
So I went to like a fact-checking site.
Yes. Yeah.
And put every one of these things in based on Trump's policies.
Yeah.
And I mean, Oh,
It just
so
negates
many.
everything.
There's a few in here that yes, like drilling and stuff. Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
fracking, drilling,
Yeah.
things.
But
yeah.
they're like, Trump's gonna ban all African American education. What?
It's wild.
Yeah, so many crazy things. So if you want, that's what 2025 is. So they can go on and on that Trump is going to do all these things. It has nothing to do with him. This is a Washington think tank.
Yeah.
That puts this together, and they do this for every president. There's probably a Democrat one. I didn't even look it up.
Yeah, on that side.
Yeah.
Agreed. So
Because these are brilliant people that live in that world and just love to get together and talk about how they could make things better.
which is not really a bad thing.
No, and then probably some of those people will get pulled into his administration.
Right.
Because they're brilliant.
Yeah, agreed. I like it. We can end on a positive.
Okay.
My brother just got home.
Nice.
He is not in Gaza. Thank you, Jesus.
Yep, mine got back.
Or,
Mine got back too.
yeah. Again, that's the one thing that makes me cry.
Yeah.
And I do not cry really. But when you see like a homecoming,
I can't.
hysterical.
Me too.
And then if it's your family member,
Yeah.
like my brother was in charge of this
Of the unit or whatever.
what do you call battalion unit?
Yeah.
Whatever. I'm not that. But to see him like dismiss all of the men.
Yeah. And did you get to go?
women, I didn't go.
Just a video.
We watched videos and stuff that my sister-in-law sent us, and it was just the best.
Yeah.
Like, to see the kids them have their dad back.
Yeah.
Like all of the children just like running out and getting their
love that
dad.
It's so great.
And I just want to ensure that continues to happen when they go somewhere, that they always come back. And that is very much in step with the leadership that we put in place.
Yeah.
And that's like,
if we continue with this leadership, we'll have way more people going over
and
not coming home.
So, can we think of anything else? Are we done? We're wrapping it up. It's Friday. Happy weekend.
Friday.
All right. Till next
Friday.
events.
Yeah.
See ya.